Hello, you fabulous interior design professional. You are definitely in the right place. Episode 396, we are going to talk about your appointment engine with Nikki Nash. What is an appointment engine, you ask? That's a question I asked as well. It has to do with how well you are attracting your prospects or ideal clients, how you are bringing them under your umbrella and letting them know you are the solution to their problems. Nikki breaks it all down for us into three compartments, and each compartment has three components. And all of this is going to happen in two very meaty episodes. You're going to love Nikki Nash. This is part one. And we're going to begin the conversation talking about how you're going to get in front of people. So the basics of marketing, but how to be more intentional and more direct and get the results that you're looking for. So let me tell you a little bit about Nikki Nash, who you're going to meet shortly. She's a globe-trotting Jersey girl who now calls sunny St. Petersburg, Florida home. She loves superheroes, sci-fi, British murder mysteries, and she says she's your go-to gal, not just for marketing, but also for Marvel marathons, card games, and globe-trotting adventures with family and friends. I would love to join in on the globe-trotting adventures. I don't know that much about the Marvel marathons, but could be interesting. Who knows? She's got more than 18 years marketing and branding experience. You can find her at nikkinash.co or on Instagram, Nikki Nash Official. There's going to be lots of show notes for you. Nikki's also written a book called Market Your Genius, and she's a lot of fun. This episode was just too meaty to squeeze into one, so it's going to be two parts, and I'm very much looking forward to your feedback on this. We're going to hear a few quick announcements from Cheryl, and then we're going to get right into part one with Nikki Nash, episode 396, 390, not sex, 396. Although she says marketing is a lot like dating. So there you go. 396, your appointment engine with Nikki Nash. We're so glad you're here.
It's finally October. Do you know what that means? Business of Design is 20 years old. Kimberley has been teaching Business of Design to design professionals around the world for 20 years now. And this month we are celebrating. High Point Market, October 26th, is Business of Design's birthday party, anniversary party, and we will be celebrating there. We have a full lineup of events all day on Saturday, starting with 3 seminars hosted by Daniel House Club in 3 of their vendor showrooms, including Forehand, Sunpan, and Etu Home, followed by a keynote talk on the Anmore stage, Suites at Market Square, birthday party to follow, Sunday morning panel with Zena. It's going to be a big weekend of events. All of those details are on the website, and we'd love for you to join us. But one more reason to join us if you are going to be at High Point Market. We've just opened up a contest. Follow Business of Design on social. Details are already there, how you can win one of 3 different coaching packages with our team, including Kimberley, myself, and our business partner, Sierra Collins. So we're super excited about that. Check out the details if you're planning to attend. We'd love to know that you are going to be there. We would love to meet you face to face. We're so excited. It's been an amazing 20 years for Kimberley. I'm so excited to have been part of 17 of those years and got to know so many of our members. I feel like I know designers around the world, and I'm very much looking forward to celebrating with you at High Point Market. I hope that you can join us. Thanks so much.
Nikki Nash, how are you?
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Are you kidding? I was looking forward to this conversation because, as you know, we talked about this offline just a second ago. I'm doing some work on improving my short form videos. And so when I went to your website, I'm like, oh, this woman knows what she's doing. She's got chops. And that's because your background is, tell everyone what your background is.
Yeah, my entire background is in marketing. I shouldn't say entire because in my previous life before marketing, I really consider myself a creator. Like I'm a content creator at heart, wanted to be a journalist. But my jam is really today helping business owners build their appointment engine and just keep having those whether it's discovery calls or sales calls or whatever they call them, with prospective clients, which is so much fun for me.
Do I have an appointment engine?
I
Describe,
mean,
tell me where do I find
question.
it? It must be under the
Like,
hood, but I don't know where it is.
it's funny. I devised this like 15-minute audit, and I have this like, because I'm I'm part math gal and part like super creative. So my brain's like organized chaos, but then I can turn out, formulas and stuff. And so I'm like, I have this whole audit to help people kind of figure out what is missing from their appointment engine. But essentially, what one and the fastest way to figure out if you have one is, are you consistently booking sales calls with quality prospects on autopilot? And if the answer is no, then I don't want to say you don't have an engine, but it's likely not optimized or working in the way that you'd like it to.
It needs a tune-up if we can ride this metaphor right
Yeah,
in all the way to the end of the line. Okay.
got to
So
take it to the mechanic.
okay, let's assume that all of us interior design professionals who listen to Business of Design, let's assume that we all need a tune-up, that our appointment engine is sluggish. And what do we do to get it working optimally and, kickstart it? Hey designers, just popping in to remind you of the wonders of Daniel House Club. DHC simplifies your design business, offering everything you need in one place. No more wasting time managing orders. They've got that covered, so you can concentrate on creating beautiful spaces. Plus, they offer some of the best trade pricing on top brands like Four Hands, Curry & Co., and Hudson Valley Lighting, with flat rate shipping. To join, visit danielhouse.club and use the promo code BOD2024, all caps, for 50% off your first year of their Pro Plus membership. And for you longtime members of DHC, they want to reward you for your loyalty. Use the code HighPoint2024 at checkout to receive 10% off the value of your next order. DHC is also super excited to celebrate BOD's 20th anniversary with us this fall at High Point Market. They will be sponsoring our seminar series on Saturday, October 26th, in partnership with some of their top vendor showrooms, including Four Hands, where mimosas will be on tap. Join Daniel House Club now and experience how easy managing your design business can be.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is to identify why it's not working or working as well as you'd like to. And there are typically like three reasons, and it could be a combination of all three. It could be a combination of two, or it could be one primarily. But essentially, the three reasons are: not enough people know that you exist, right? The second is people know you exist, but like they don't seem to truly understand how you can help them get what they want, right? Like they don't see your value necessarily, or they're not necessarily, it's not clicking for them that like, oh my gosh, you're my person. Right. And then the third is that maybe they know you exist, right? Maybe they think like, oh, you can help me, but you don't have a clear pathway that takes them from like, okay, I exist, I can help you. Now here are the steps to become a client of mine. And so you need like a really clear pathway to take someone from, hey, I just found out you exist, to, hey, now I'm a client. And so usually it's one of those three things or a combination.
It's probably a combination, isn't it? I mean, usually if the first one's out of whack, the second one's out of whack, and the third one's out of like, I can sort of see.
Sometimes people are like, hey, they have a machine. They get clients coming in, but they just don't have enough clients. So sometimes if there is only one problem, it's usually just the person's still in obscurity and not enough people know they exist. That's usually if somebody just says one thing, that's usually the one thing. Otherwise, it's usually a combination.
Right. It's so funny because part of me is thinking about my interior design business and what happens there. And then part of me is thinking, you know what? I'm going to take back what I said, that maybe all three of them are out of whack. One of the challenges with Business of Design is we feel like a lot of people know us, but often people don't take the action to convert to membership, or this cracks us up. People will ask me, who should they use for a business coach? And I'm like, literally, that's what I do. So maybe we're having trouble with that second part of our, okay. Cool. All right. So should we tackle is it like the smart thing to do, tackle each one of those and kind of fine tune each one?
Let's tackle it. I love it.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
you're listening and you're thinking people don't even know, they're not even aware of me. They don't even know who I am. Clients wouldn't begin to know how to find me. What do we do?
Yeah. So there are typically three ways to get in front of people, right? It's organic, right? So it could be content you're putting out online. It could be going to networking events. It could be sitting on an airplane and somebody sits next to you and start talking. It's just like it's organically happening in the world, right? So typically, though, from a marketing perspective, I'm looking at like your content and what you're doing, and maybe if you're networking. But content I see as what you're putting online. It could be going out and speaking on stages a little bit, but it's typically, are you creating content that specifically speaks to the person that you would love to work with and is hitting like their pain points, their wants, their desires, all of that jazz. And
Okay.
so you feel like, a lot of people either put out some content, but they don't do it consistently. They're putting out content, but it's not actually yielding anything. And so you want to get that kind of audience attracting content engine going, right? Where it's like,
Okay.
whatever your frequency is, you're consistently speaking to folks and they're going, oh my gosh, I want to listen to your podcast or follow you online or something like that.
Right.
The second is what I call an OPA avalanche, which stands for other people's audience, right? And so it's usually some form of partnership, right? Like this would be an example. Like I'm on being a guest on your podcast. So more people are probably like, oh, I've never heard of Nikki Nash before, but now I know who she is, right? So that's a way that you can get in front of other people. And the reason why I call it an avalanche is because typically people will go, oh my gosh, I want to be on, back when Oprah was a show, like I want to be on Oprah or something, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to be on I want to be on the Today Show, right? And
Right.
it's like, you got to start with the smaller shows or or local radio or
Right.
things like that, and start getting your message out there and then leverage those experiences to get on bigger shows. And then it ultimately kind of snowballs into you getting in front of people that have massive audiences. And it doesn't mean that you won't still do, local radio. It just means that you probably won't do the Today Show until they know that they can put you on their show without you freaking out,
Yeah.
right? Getting nervous and forgetting to speak, right? So,
So bad news already, because what you're saying is there's not really a shortcut. You're going to have to take the baby steps that get you to your goal, right? So
yes,
many
I
of
mean,
us want to start by being on the Today Show.
right. And maybe you get lucky, right? Like when I was head of marketing at a tech startup, and we got on the Today Show, and
Yeah.
it just so happened that what we were doing was a hot topic for them, and somebody who was a regular contributor to their show,
Guest on the show.
regular,
Yeah.
yeah, needed something to talk about. And so we're
Yeah.
like, what about our stuff? And they're like, sweet. And so that worked. But it's typically not like, to that point, somebody else was speaking about us. It's not like
Right.
they said, Nikki, go be on the Today Show. You've never done
Right.
television before, right? Like they were
Right.
like, hey, this person who's done it a million times. And again, I was leveraging their
Right.
relationship. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Number two, it was the OPA avalanche, other
Yeah.
people's audience
Other people's
avalanche.
audience avalanche. And then the third in this kind of getting out of obscurity, people knowing you exist thing, is what I call like a paid media multiplier, which
Okay.
means you're using the success of your organic and partnership marketing, or one or the other or both, you figured out what works, you figured out what message lands with people, what people are going, oh my gosh, I want to get to know you or follow you. And then you're amplifying that, you're multiplying it with paid media, which could be paid ads, it could be sponsoring an event, it could be there's things like called shout outs on Instagram and other platforms where you can pay someone to essentially like give you a shout out online and tell their audience to follow you. So there are things that you can do, but typically I encourage people to wait until they've had some success with organic, because paid media is a multiplier, it's an amplifier. And so if you multiply anything by zero, it's still zero. So if you don't have any message that's working and then you just get it in front of a whole bunch of people, it's still not going to work, even though
Right.
put money behind it.
There's so many people right now listening to the podcast going, yeah, I did that. I did that thing. I bought the ads and nothing from nothing is nothing.
Yes, yeah. And I used to be, I've had so many jobs, but one of my first jobs out of college, I was a media planner and buyer, which meant that Kraft Foods, I got a budget from them for a lot of their different brands, and I would choose where their ads were placed and things like that. And even though I ran ads for a living in a past life, when I started my business, I still got caught up in the, oh my gosh, somebody says they can run ads for me. Let me have them run ads. And it did not perform the way I wanted it to, because I hadn't built up that I know what message works. I know what,
Yeah.
all
I
that
would like
jazz.
to have Kraft's budget for marketing. That would be
Oh,
great. Give me that. Give me that budget. I'll
honestly,
figure
like
this
I've
out.
in a past life, I've worked at Kraft, I've worked for Coca-Cola, I've
Mm.
worked at Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy,
All
Intel.
these
I
all
would
these
take all their
companies
budgets,
living hand to mouth. How sad.
right? I would take a fraction of their budgets, right? I will say though that there is, just for some people that are like, I want to use ads earlier. You can use ads to test messaging to see what works, but
Yeah.
you have to go into it going, I'm using this as a test, not as a way to blow up my business. So there is a way to just
Exactly.
say, hey, I want to get my message in front of a bunch of different people, like 3 messages in front of the same target audience, and figure out which one works.
And see
That
which
is,
one works.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. All right. So these were all these first three examples you gave are for anybody who feels like they're living in obscurity. They might be inconsistently posting on social, terrible at networking, but they're looking for more clients to come through the pipeline, and they're frustrated with the avenues available to them. So these are the three things. Or you're going to do like organic events. You're going to get other people's audience and then paid media after the first two are working, not out of order. Don't do it out of order.
You don't do it. I mean, you can switch 1 and 2, but I wouldn't do 3 unless you've done at least 1 or 2.
Okay, good.
And
No,
it works.
I think
Yeah.
that's super clear. And there'll be notes, by the way, there'll be show notes. So if you're driving, don't panic. We're going to capture this information for you. Okay, so you're going to do this for a while, whatever a while means. You're going to do it for 3 months, you're going to do it for 6 months until you're starting to feel some traction. And then the second category you talked about was for that person who it just hasn't clicked for them that you might be able to help them. You might be able to solve the need. You might be the solution they're looking for. So what do we do if that's the category we're in?
Yeah. And so if you feel like your prospects don't get your value, or they don't really know that you can help them, what you really have is more of like a personal branding or a messaging challenge. And
Mm.
so that's really what we're refining and working on here. And so and because you mentioned it, yes, all of this will be in the show notes. And I also have a playbook that literally like gives examples of how I've done this in my business, if for the visual people, for people that are like, I need to
Oh
see what
yeah,
that like piece of content looks like, or that other thing looks like. So
thank
I will
you.
make sure to give you the link for the show notes as well. But yeah, it's a free playbook on my site. Um, but if you're like, hey, I need to get more people to truly understand my value, there's usually 3 things that are, 3 is my lucky number. So this
I
tends
know.
to be
I like the
three, three,
symmetry of this.
three.
This is working for
Yeah.
me. There are three categories you're in, and each of those three categories have three things you can do to make them better. I like it.
Yes.
Okay, number one.
So number one is having like your offer refined. And when I say offer, a lot of people think, well, I charge this amount for this service, blah, blah, blah. And that's not necessarily what I mean. What I mean is more specifically having a clear and specific result that you are helping people achieve. So in at least to the person, right? So if I'm making this up, but let's say, you work with, actually give me an example of what some of the folks you coach, who someone works with.
Okay, so for an interior design professional who's done the first three things in the first category, you now have potential clients who have eyeballs on you. And your job now is to convince those potential clients to phone your office and set up a consultation. So that's the goal. So
Right.
my offer is I have this consultation.
No, when I say offer, I mean like who would be like, let's say I'm an interior designer. It's usually like I'm not an interior designer for anybody with any budget on any planet. I'm
Right.
typically probably like the go-to interior designer for X type of client or thing, right?
Okay, tiny condos, small condos. That's my specialty.
Got it. So then my offer would be like, hey, I'm going to, um, and again, you can wordsmith this because I'm making it up on the fly, but I will, let's say it's, I'm going to make this up a little bit. Let's say it's somebody who rehabs condos, right? Like they completely take them over and give them a makeover. It's like I'm the go-to interior designer to make that condo that you're going to now rent out to tenants. Let's just pretend they're doing rentals. Like it's going to be like the most luxurious Airbnb. Like I'm really just going rogue
Okay.
with
No, for sure.
and so like if you want a luxurious Airbnb feel for a modest budget, like I'm your girl. I'm making that up, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to make it clear so that when somebody goes, am I, oh yeah, I'm looking to have an Airbnb. I want it to feel luxurious. I'm high end, but I don't want to spend like $1 million, but I'm willing to spend like $200,000, right? Like
Yeah.
I want you to tell me that you're the perfect person for me. So
So
you want to,
is part of this niching, like you have to get more specific about what it is you're putting out in the world?
yeah. And I think niching goes rogue with a lot of folks. Like niche really means to me, it's like, okay. I wrote a book. I was like, what is something near me, right? I wrote a book. And if I were going to talk to someone who is a consultant for like a sales consultant for corporate, and that's their business, I would say, oh my gosh, this book literally will give you the playbook on how to get more consulting clients for your sales consulting business, right? And then if I meet an architect the next day, I'm going to be like, this book gives you the playbook for how you can grow your architect business. Because like at the end of the day, the strategy is the same, but the person needs to feel like it's specifically for them, right?
Okay.
So you really want to get clear on, you may work with, a couple of different types of folks, but you want to make sure whatever marketing that person sees feels like it's specifically for them. So you want to have a very clear, like refined, targeted result for your specific person.
Okay, two follow-ups. One, the book you were holding up is Market Your Genius, and that's Nikki's
Yes.
book. So that's a book, if you're not watching on YouTube, but you're listening, it's Market Your Genius. Again, it'll be in the show notes. But the second part of that is the offer may not be specifically come and buy this consultation, but it might be something I'm posting that is a signifier to that person who's going to be interested in flipping to an Airbnb, right? It could be content of like, oh, I stayed in a sexy Airbnb this weekend and here are 3 things I learned, right? So you're not specifically saying buy this thing.
Yeah. So for example, in my business, I have what I would consider one of my offers is I say, how do I want to say this? I say like, give me 15 minutes and I'll identify ways for you to increase your sales call bookings, right? Like I'm making you an offer, like you give me 15 minutes of your time for free and I'll identify the ways that you can increase your sales call bookings. And so that's really like, I'm pitching to them a 15-minute consult, if you really want to think about it, that will ultimately lead to me inviting them to work with me if they'd like to. But what I'm saying is I'm going to go to someone who wants to get more sales calls and I'm going to say, I can give me 15 minutes. I got you. I can help you with that.
Okay.
So it's more of, I think so often it's taught like you have one offer. And I think that there are really kind of micro offers because it's like dating. A lot of my analogies are like dating. You don't walk up to somebody and go, hey, you want to get married necessarily. You might go,
it doesn't work.
Hey, can I have your number? Or, hey, like, do you want to go on a date with me? Right. Like there are micro offers before, like before the proposal.
Right.
So it's like about what your specific like micro offer is and getting really clear on that so that when somebody's like, what do? You're not like, most people go really broad and they're like, I'm an interior designer. And people are like, cool. And then they're like, oh, well, I need an interior designer. And in the back of your head, you're like, you're not my person because I typically work with high end, luxury buildings or something. I'm making this up. And you have a budget of $1,000. And what you really want is the website where like, I don't remember what they're called, where you can like
DIY it.
Yeah. Get an interior designer, but it's like
it's called Pinterest. What you really want is go to Pinterest.
What you really want is Pinterest.
Yeah. And TJ Maxx. Yeah, that's what you really want.
they have a Pinterest and TJ Maxx budget, and you typically,
Yeah.
work with custom made furniture
Right.
design, right? Like, so it's saying, oh, well, I help people who um, want to get the most out of their living space and are willing to invest in custom made pieces for it,
Okay.
right? Like, so I work with those type of folks. It's really just kind of getting clear on what specifically you could help someone with.
Okay, and all of that takes a little experimentation and right, like because you're gonna put out this little micro offer and it's gonna meh, meh, nobody cares. You're gonna try another one, you're gonna try another one, boom, that one hit. Oh, that kind of worked. Now I'm gonna tweak that little mini micro offer and see what I can build from it. So we shouldn't expect necessarily, like this is my big problem. I want to hit a home run the first time up at bat. Like I just want to like nail it. Oh, tell me what to do so I can nail it. You're going to have to put in some time to see what works for your audience.
100%. Like most
I
people,
hate that, Nikki. I
no,
hate that.
it's very common. Like what most people will do is they'll say, strategy. I want to make, $300,000 in my business, right?
Hmm.
Or the vision. Like that's where we're going. That's the target, right? And then they'll try one strategy and they'll go, all right, that strategy didn't work. I'm going to change my $300,000 target and I'm going to move it a little bit closer so I feel better. I'm going to make it $100,000. And it's like, no, it's not move the target. It's change the strategy, right? Like
Right on.
my dad golfs, right? Golf doesn't change. They're not like, okay, you were supposed to get the ball in the hole in this many swings, but instead we're going to change that for you so you feel better about it, and we're going to change the game. Like the game doesn't change, but your swing may change, your approach may change, and it can
Right.
take you a long time before you get something that works, right?
Do
I
you know
use
what
golf.
changes? Clothing sizes,
Oh yeah, that too.
right? Like, oh, suddenly I'm a 10. Wow. I love this brand. I'm never shopping anywhere else.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So you have to refine an offer and you have to experiment with that offer. That was the first thing that we can tackle when you're trying to get it to click in that consumer's mind that you might be the person that can help you. I know I've got you hooked and you want to hear the rest of this episode. So for the next two parts of this second section and the third and final section, we will see you next week, episode 397, more of Tune Up Your Appointment Engine with Nikki Nash. Thanks so much for being here, everyone.